Hi everybody, here is my digital resource analysis. For this, I chose to focus on resources that I have personal experience using, and especially in my classroom, and ones that I really think could be helpful for educators for all grade levels. So the first resource I chose was Newsella. Some people call it News ELA, but we call it Newsella. So this is a resource that contains standards-aligned informational articles, and each article can be tailored to varying reading levels. So in the link, I have it up open here. You can open up any article. So my kids, well, they're really into the Olympics, so this is one that I would have up here. And then within the article, um, oh, my account isn't logged in, but when you would log in, you can change the Lexile level to best suit your learners. So that's really helpful for me because I know I can assign articles at a specific Lexile level to help my students learn best. So they're still getting the same information, just at that different Lexile. So you would go up here and you would be able to change it. With the pros and cons, and the pros is that there's a lot of amount of informational text resources. It can be linked to Google Classroom, and it also has the Read to Me feature in Spanish and English articles. Some of the cons, some of the articles only have a couple different Lexile levels, and the lowest one still may be too challenging for emerging readers. Also, the pro version, which is where you can change the Lexile levels, is rather expensive. It's about $6,000 per school per year or $18 per student per year. So just kind of depends on what your school's budget is. The second resource I chose was Book Creator, and this is an online platform that allows students and educators to create digital books. There is a library where students would house each of their books and they could read and share books with each other. Students can choose to make magazines, graphic novels, or traditional books. And what that looks like, I have it linked in here, but I have it open with once my class has done. Some of them are blank because they're still working on them. They can go in and create a new book. This one, they were doing graphic novels, and this was from the very beginning of the year. So they're ones, some of them still need a little bit of work, but they would have books like this and they could add pictures to. What my class usually does with this, we write our book first and then we copy and paste the text in and add pictures to make sure that the writing aspect is still their number one focus. The pros of this is that it's an engaging resource for students. It helps them think about text features, especially if you're having them do a magazine or a graphic novel. It's also very open ended and can be used for a variety of subjects. And it is mostly compatible with iPads. So if your classroom has iPads or tablets or things like that, it works best, but it can also be used just in regular Chrome. Cons, it is again not a free resource. It's $120 per year, which if you're paying for that like out of pocket as a teacher, that's a lot. Um, and it may not be suitable for students who struggle with writing because it may be a little bit defeating because you do have to have that writing concept with it as well. The next resource, this one is like my absolute favorite, getepic.com. It's an ebook platform that allows students and educators to explore thousands of different titles. It is actually free for educators and students from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I'll show you what that looks like. I have my teacher page pulled up. Where is that? Right here. Okay, I have my teacher page pulled up. So the students would log in using this code or through their Google Classroom. There's learning videos that you can do. I turn those off because the kids will just sit there and watch the videos all day long. And then I can have it by Lexile level as well. So they can go through and pick different books, like, and I can assign them to each class. So we read this at the beginning of the year, A Boy Called Bat, and we read that all together as a class. I would assign them chapters, and then there's just topics for everything. So if you wanted to do like maybe a silent reading on Black History Month, you could pick any of these books. You can also go through and track how much your students are reading. So I have the student daily activity, and then if I go to my students, I believe, you can see that they've read this year. I have a large class because I have three different classes linked under mine. 109 students have read 7,551 books and read for 1,321 hours. So we actually track this in our classroom as well to kind of get the students excited about their reading. The next resource that I have, oh, I'm sorry, the pros and cons of this. So it's free during most school hours, and honestly, some of my students change the time on their computer, like in settings, so they can use it during other times of the day. Teachers can create reading assignments, and reading time on task can be tracked. So that's something that I think is super cool. It also tracks like how often they're turning the page. So are they just flipping through a book, or are they actually taking the amount of time that it takes to read a page? It has a read aloud feature, so if students struggle to read, it can read the books out loud to them. And some books are available in multiple languages, primarily just in English and Spanish, though. The cons, if students want to use the resource at home, it's $5.99 a month to use at home, which I don't think is that expensive for the sheer number of books it can get you. It's also really cool on an iPad, so that's great. The next resource is PBL Works, and this is project-based learning, professional development resources, and support for educators. The lesson and project ideas are for all grade levels, and it's research-based information. So if we go to their website, they have all these different tabs that show like the research behind project-based learning, the different workshops that they offer, and then the best part, if you go into the projects and tools, um, my school pays for this, but for like $39 a month, you can get unlimited access to all of the different lesson plans and project planners. Some of them, though, are available for free. So when you make an account, it does it by grade level, and you can kind of tailor them. Like I teach third and fourth grade, but I've used fifth grade projects before and just kind of tailored it to my kids. So this is a really great resource as well. So some of the pros, there's free resources, it is research based, and there are articles and publications that show how it is research based and best for students. And there's honestly a huge amount of lesson plans and ideas that particularly include cross curricular learning. The cons, like I said, some of the projects may be too challenging for lower students or struggling students. But if you kind of really look at what standards they're trying to hit, you can differentiate your lessons for your students' needs. And then it's only $39 for improved resources with completed lesson plans, which I don't think is too terrible, but I know that lots of these resources add up if you're paying for multiple ones of them. And the final resource that I chose to include is EL Learning. This is for formerly Expeditionary Learning, and it is a online free ELA curriculum that utilizes trade books as anchor text. So they have resources in full year-long curriculums for kindergarten through 8th grade. And this curriculum also embeds social emotional learning and culturally responsive teaching practices. So their website I think is really, really easy to use. So they have all the information about what they do, how they support culturally responsive teaching practices, and then in their resources, you can go right to their curriculum and say you teach. So I teach third and fourth, so I would go to fourth, and you can download the entire curriculum for free. So there are resources that you would have to purchase through this, like the trade books and things like that. But, they do also I've used this American Revolution unit, I love this unit. Um, there's also they work with Overdrive, which is an online, like, library platform to help get books, for free to schools. So it's a great resource, and what I really like to do with it, I don't use every single unit, but, my school, I didn't love the American Revolution unit that we had, so I used a lot of resources from this, 4th grade American Revolution unit. So I kind of like pick and choose. It also has a lot of great like informational texts and things like that if you want to focus more on that aspect of it. So the pro is that it is a free resource. I love that it's free. It also includes professional development on how to use their resources. And I think the website and guides are pretty easy to use. There are some I listed in cons that can be slightly confusing. And I think it's just like the way that they look online, but when you print them out, they look fine and are easier to use. It can just be in that digital platform. Um, another pro is that the units don't have to be used in their entirety, so you can kind of like pick and choose what lessons. And they are also Common Core standards correlated. So they list out exactly which standards, which is really helpful when you're trying to plan for your curriculum. The cons is that the literature resources would need to be purchased by the schools, but as I said, they do partner with Overdrive to try to get books to schools. And the digital guides, like I said, like when you download them to Google or something, they can be a little confusing, but for the most part, they work really well. So I hope you enjoyed my 5 digital resources. I know that these are ones I use pretty much constantly in my classroom, so I hope you enjoyed them and can get use out of them as well. Bye.